How do you view death, and has that view changed throughout your life?
Yeah, I'm scared to die.
Some might ask, why would someone want to work around dead people all their lives? But for these three women, this is a reality. Funeral service has traditionally been a male-dominated profession. It also has been a family profession, with firms being passed down from one generation to the next. Michelle Reedy Ambrosino is the funeral director and owner at Reedy Funeral Services. Her grandfather started it in 1912 in Burlington and then passed it down to his son, and in 2011 Michelle and her husband took it over from her father. This is her story.
You see what's left behind. I think you see the families that are left behind and the kids that are left behind, and I think that gives you a really strong appreciation for how final and what it really does to people. Some days you just honestly want to close the door and walk away and never come back. You're seeing families at their most difficult, the hardest time for them, which generally means they don't like you very much. Not always, but sometimes they don't want to be here, and I understand that. And my job is to walk families through making arrangements and making sure that the life is honored. I don't think there's probably a funeral director alive who will tell you this is what they always wanted to do. I think the reality is either you're born into it or you marry into it. So there's very few people who will tell you this was their calling. And I would say the few people that I do talk to, we get people all the time who come in and say, this is what I want to do, can we come shadow you? And I would say most of them have no idea, what it really looks like. The only one here who really wants to know sort of the background of the person. I always ask, well, how did they die? Like what, were they sick? What happened? I don't know if that's a female trait or not, but I'm very intrigued by sort of what has happened to people, young people, old people. I think, I follow probably the death certificates and causes of death more than anybody.
My name is Sarah Libno. I'm the Executive Director of the Cancer Patient Support Foundation, and we provide financial support for local cancer patients while they're in treatment. Learning how to be empathetic and open and loving to people, but also protecting yourself a little bit, because people in active death, it's very emotional, and you have to be careful how far they get into your heart. So I think it reminds you to live in the present. So I think it does affect how you view life. And I think it also affects how you view death, because that death can happen at any time, and that we shouldn't be cocky enough to think, oh, we're young, we're healthy, we're good, don't worry about it. So I think it makes you live in the present and remember that death can happen at any time, so make sure that you're happy and you tell your loved ones how much you love them. It's not unusual when you're driving home to be crying about a case, to be thinking at night about what could have done to help this family, what other options are available out there. So they become part of our family. And a lot of times family members will call us and say, I just wanted to let you know my mom passed and thank you for helping her. And their families stay in touch because it meant so much to them that they had some support during this very difficult time.
In West Lebanon, New Hampshire, Megan, a nurse at TLC Home Care and Nursing, lost a client 3 days ago that she had in her care for over a year. Her entire career has been dealing with loss of clients.
My name is Megan Slack. I'm a patient care assistant. I work for TLC Nursing, and that entails going into people's homes and helping them with activities of daily living such as cooking, cleaning, bringing them to doctor's appointments, helping them with medications. That also entails doing some hospice care as well for clients that have decided to be at home to die. It's almost like you lose a part of your family. My client that just passed away on Wednesday, she called me her little sister and called me her best friend because she didn't have anybody else. She had her daughter, but no friends. And I think that's the biggest thing that they appreciate is a friendship. It's extremely rewarding to have family members trust you enough to be with their loved one while they are dying, and knowing that you are making them as comfortable as possible during this process. I wouldn't say that it's gotten any easier, but I think I know how to deal with it a little bit better now. I keep a journal. That's something when I was working at the HISCU at Dartmouth I didn't do, and the job really took a huge toll on me. And now I'm better about talking about it and not keeping it all in, because I find that that makes things 10 times harder. I need to talk about it and I need to write things down. I know this is, for some people may sound kind of morbid, but I actually prefer to be there when they take their last breath. That way I know that I've done everything that I possibly could and they were comfortable. It can be messy, it can be traumatic, but it can also be, I know it's a weird word for a lot of people, it can be beautiful. It can be comforting. It just all depends on the circumstances, really.
There's probably nothing better than getting the hug at the end of a service from someone who said, it's exactly what Mom would have wanted.
The best part of my job is when a patient calls and says, "Thank you so much, you really helped my family."